everyone, and welcome to the Dockery Docket podcast, the podcast where we have to dive into the muck of misinformation. There's a lot of it. Okay, let me say right up front that this episode might be my last episode talking about Charli Kirk. I understand that it's all over social media, it's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram, and it just seems like everyone is just talking about it all the time. And I can understand how there can be some people that are sort of fatigued by this. I don't want to look at the video anymore. I don't want to look at this anymore. I don't want to see his face anymore because it's all too much. However, we need to fight for the truth, especially for Charli. Because I am constantly annoyed with hearing different lies that are coming from the media or social media when it comes to the shooting. So let's dive into some lies and let's actually get some facts. The first lie that needs to be debunked is that Charli Kirk's shooter was a crazy radical right-wing nutjob. You yourself have probably seen photos of the shooter holding guns with his family. And it was also even admitted by the family that they were right-wing. However, this doesn't mean that their son was right-wing because people change. Once the FBI found the shooter, Twitter absolutely went insane because, well, the shooter was white. So many posts were claiming, well, it's a straight white Christian radical male. It's not a black person. It's not a trans person. It's a white male. It's one of your own, MAGA. Which is weird because not all white people are Republicans, not all black people are Democrats, but that's a story for another time. However, this narrative of this guy being a crazy right-wing fascist whatever starts to fall apart pretty quick, as the bullets were engraved with different messages. Some of these were internet memes, but only one really stood out the most. Hey fascist, catch. Now, if you're a supporter of Charli Kirk, if you are a right-wing person, why would you be calling someone that you like or someone on your side a fascist? That doesn't really make sense. I mean, if you're on his side, why would you even kill Charli Kirk in the first place? That doesn't make sense either. Also, the investigation continued. They interviewed family members and people from his school, and it showed that this guy, this scumbag, was turning more political, and that politicalness was to the left. The shooter also mentioned, according to reports, that Charli was coming to Utah Valley University, and according to the investigation, the family talked about why they didn't like his viewpoints, with the shooter saying, according to this investigation, that Charli Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. Now things are getting clearer. Clearly, this guy is not some radical right-wing nutjob. He was clearly indoctrinated by left-wing ideology. The ideology that calls people that are a little bit on the right fascist, and fascists should be killed, and fascists should be destroyed, even if they aren't even fascist at all. The ideology that claims that different opinions are hate speech, which is once again a leftist thing. Also, do not try to convince me that this guy was even farther to the right than regular right-wing people. That to me is a stupid argument because he said that Charli Kirk was hateful. And let me tell you, the far right, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, are very much more hateful than what Charli Kirk ever was. Charli Kirk was a moderate leftist to this guy, Nick Fuentes. So I don't feel like he was that far right. I feel like he was a left-winger. Another reason why I don't believe that this guy was a super-duper far-right person is because he was living and had a sexual relationship with a transgender roommate. Now, this really doesn't mean anything. You can have a relationship with whoever you want. But could this have changed the shooter's ideology? And the shooter decided to do this shooting because he felt bad for his friend, and he listened to Charli Kirk talk about how transgenderism isn't good, and so he took it out on him. There's a possibility that this shooter did it for their transgender lover, because we all know that Charli Kirk wasn't a big fan of transgenders, so maybe he thought, if I get rid of Charli Kirk, then my boyfriend or my girlfriend would be safe. It's just a theory. Also, we know how extreme right-wingers are with transgender people. They don't like them very much, and they don't really like that ideology. So if this person was a super-duper far-right person, why would they be dating someone that's transgender? That doesn't make sense. Also, he was turned in by his pastor, who was a member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. So this guy wasn't a radical right-winger. He wasn't technically straight. He wasn't even a Christian. Literally, the only thing that the left got right about this guy is that he was a white male. That's it. Everything else that they said about this shooter was a lie because they didn't wait for the facts. And we can clearly see, without a shadow of a doubt, that this shooter fell for the leftist ideology. That anyone who is farther to the right is a literal fascist and needs to be destroyed. And some people are even saying that because he was a fascist, or just because they didn't agree with his ideology, that for some reason Charli Kirk deserved this. No one deserved a death like this. This death was absolutely horrific. The video is still ingrained in my memory. No one deserves that. Nobody deserves to die like that. But people were doing that and they were saying some pretty awful things, and so people were taking screenshots of those different messages and sending it to those people's employer. And those people got fired. Now I know what you're thinking. Kyle, aren't you supportive of free speech? Kyle, don't you and Republicans not like cancel culture? What is this? You guys are doing the exact same thing that the left is doing. The answer is yes, I am against cancel culture. I absolutely hate it. I think it's stupid. But the way that the left and the right do it are very different. For left-wing cancel culture, if they don't like you, they will go through your whole entire social media feed just to find one little thing, one little instance where you might have said something offensive or wrong, and then cancel you for it. Sometimes you don't even get canceled for what you say, but what your family says. For example, Lilly Diabetes pulled its sponsorship from Connor Daly's number 6 car in the NASCAR Xfinity race at Road America, citing a racially insensitive remark made by the driver's father back in the 1980s. So the driver's dad literally said something, and the son got hurt for it? That doesn't make sense. The son didn't do anything. The son didn't say anything wrong. But that is leftist cancel culture. Even if you are associated with someone who might have said a naughty word and you didn't say that naughty word, you could be banned. You could be canceled. Another example that I find absolutely hilarious is that a broadcaster named Robert Lee wasn't allowed to broadcast Virginia football games because his name was the same as the Confederate General Robert E. Lee, and they were scared of the backlash. That's the man's name. That's literally the name that he was born with. He can't change that. And also, the funny thing is that the Robert Lee, that's the commentator, that's the broadcaster, was Asian. He wasn't even white, he was an Asian man. It doesn't make sense, and it's all a bunch of crap, which is why leftist cancel culture is terrible. Right-wing cancel culture is simple and to the point. If you are happy that a person that you disagree with got shot in the neck and died, also claiming and dancing on TikTok and Instagram saying that this guy deserved it, then yes, more than likely you're going to get fired for that. It is honestly common decency to not be happy when a tragedy happens to different people. Like, for example, I don't like AOC. I don't believe in anything that she stands for. But if she was ever shot by a crazy radical right-winger and killed, which I pray won't happen at all, I would probably feel the exact same way as I did when I saw Charli Kirk bleed out from his neck. I wouldn't be dancing on TikTok. I wouldn't be dancing on Instagram. I wouldn't make a video talking about how the death of AOC was something that was so great and so good. And did you see all the blood squirting out of her neck? That was cool. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't make a t-shirt of a graphic of her getting shot on it. That's bad. That's stupid. And you deserve to be fired for doing stuff like that. I would mourn and let the left be upset about the shooting because that's just common human decency. I've also heard many people say, well, Kyle, what's going to happen when the left takes over again and they start canceling you? They start going after your speech and canceling you for what you say. And the thing is, we are so past that point because these people keep forgetting that we lived through 2020 through 2025. where cancel culture from the left was going absolutely crazy, and it's still going a little bit crazy today. Roseanne Barr was fired from her sitcom. Tucker Carlson was fired from his job at Fox News. Shane Gillis was kicked off of SNL. Gina Carano was canceled off of a Star Wars spinoff. J.K. Rowling was canceled for her opinion on men and women's sports. Dave Chappelle almost got his Netflix special canceled because he also talked about transgender people. A bunch of musical artists got mad at Spotify because they had the audacity to have Joe Rogan on their platform. Even Joe Biden, the president of the United States, wanted Joe Rogan kicked off of Spotify just because he had different opinions on what medicines to take during the COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking of COVID, Zuckerberg claimed that the White House was pressuring his company to censor COVID-19 content. And YouTube even admitted that it censored Americans at the request of the Joe Biden administration. And YouTube even admitted that it censored Americans at the will of the Joe Biden administration. That's insane. And here's the thing, do you know what the left did every single time these people got canceled? Every single time these people got fired from their jobs, every single time these people were canceled, they cheered. They were happy about it. They loved it. They claimed that these people deserved it. But now who does the left have? Jimmy Kimmel, which once again was another lie that the left was pushing very hard, as the media jumped out and claimed that the FCC and Donald Trump pressured ABC and Disney to get rid of Jimmy Kimmel's show, and so that's what they did. ABC canceled the show, and everyone literally freaked out, and the reason why his show got canceled was because he lied about the shooter. But anyway, the left absolutely freaked out, claiming that this was anti-free speech, that this was a fascist takeover, and Donald Trump can't control the media. He's getting rid of people that don't like him. How can he do such a thing? This lie, just like with the Charli Kirks shooting, led to violence, as a wacky left-wing nutjob shot an ABC-affiliated studio because he was so upset about Jimmy Kimmel's show being canceled. I mean, who the heck cares that much about Jimmy Kimmel? I don't know anyone who does. And then right after that, because the left cares so much about gun violence and locking people up for doing things inappropriate with guns, they let him go right away. This whole situation scared ABC and Disney so much that they decided to bring back Jimmy Kimmel's show, and he's going to be live Tuesday. So wait, ABC and Disney brought him back. It had nothing to do with Donald Trump, and you just lied to us. Exactly, because Trump and the FCC had absolutely nothing to do with it. It was the company of Disney and ABC who were canceling Jimmy Kimmel's show because of such high tensions that were going on with Charli Kirks. Now, when it comes to Jimmy Kimmel and his show getting canceled and then being brought on and all that stuff, now when it comes to this whole Jimmy Kimmel situation and his show getting canceled and this idea that it is anti-free speech, my question is simple. Where were you? Where were you when Jimmy Fallon almost lost his show because a bunch of crazy left-wing nutjobs decided to go crazy because Jimmy Fallon did the sin of having Donald Trump on his show? Oh no, you are humanizing Donald Trump. Oh no, you're asking softball questions. What do you think Jimmy Kimmel does? Jimmy Kimmel has left-wing people on his show all the time. He asks them softball questions. He plays games with them. He jokes around with them. That's what late night is. It's not expecting to have a judge against Donald Trump. It's supposed to be something fun and silly that people can do. That's why Jimmy Fallon messed up Donald Trump's hair, because it was funny, it was silly, and now everything has to be serious. The thing is, if you are now fighting for freedom of speech because of Jimmy Kimmel, then why weren't you fighting for the freedom of speech for all those people that I just mentioned beforehand that got canceled for saying free things? Because instead of fighting for free speech, you were happy. You were cheering that these different people got canceled and also shot and killed. And now you get to have a taste of your own medicine and you absolutely hate it. I know it's a controversial take, but I am more upset about a man getting shot in the neck for his political beliefs than I am about stupid Jimmy Kimmel and his late night show. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.